Question of the day. What is your dating age range? Like how do you see it? Because here's the way I see mine. I'm 21 years old. I personally, if I were dating, I'm not right now. But I believe I'd be okay with anything from a woman that's from 18 to 24. I believe that's my age range currently. But that's kind of what I wanted to talk about today. I'm just curious because here there's an interesting thing here, okay? So this is Daily Mail, and here we go. So there was a woman who is 22 who matched with her boss on Tinder. And he quit his job so that way they could be together. Do you guys want to take a guess at how old he is? He's 58. This man is 58 years old. And I'm curious. Like, I saw this and I said, wow. Cause, I've heard about stories. I've heard about stories like this, but I've never seen quite an age gap. And I just don't think I could do someone who's 36 years younger than me. I mean, that is such a huge gap. I don't think I could, personally, I could not overcome that. So here we go. Alyssa Cleland, 22, matched on Tinder with Rick, who was the CFO of the company she worked for. But Alyssa from Texas is now living with 58-year-old Rick after a year of dating. Loved Up couple says they are in it for the long run in spite of a 35, not really, that's a 36-year age gap. Alyssa has a rare condition called paraxial tibial hemimelia. As a result, she has a prosthetic leg and deformed hands. Previously praised Rick for being a real man who's strong enough to handle her. Here we go. They matched on the app Tinder, but initially agreed to not take it any further because they didn't want to complicate their working relationship. However, after meeting up and enjoying 4 hours of engaging conversation, Alyssa, who was born with a disability and has a prosthetic leg, soon changed their minds and agreed to start dating, as long as they were no longer working together. Rick ended up leaving his job as CFO so that they could embark on their relationship, and the two have lived together ever since, with every intention of getting married in the future. Wow. Alyssa said, I'm in love with Rick for sure, and I'm just waiting for a ring at this point. If it means changing his diapers, I'm in it for the long haul. I could be hit by a car tomorrow. No one knows how long we have on this earth, so I think just spending it with the people you love despite him getting older quicker, it's all we can really do. Even before matching on the dating app, Rick admits noticing Alyssa when she started at the same workplace. But he didn't make the connection that the same person he noticed at work, he'd also swiped right for on Tinder. He said right out of the gate when the company I worked for hired her, I kind of noticed her and she sort of stood apart from everybody else because she had this energy. But the thing is, for whatever reason, I didn't connect that picture and her profile from the girl from work. By contrast, Alyssa realized exactly who had liked her. She realized I messaged him because I recognized him immediately and was like, what are you doing? We can't date. On realizing what he had done, Rick was worried Alyssa would think he'd intentionally abused his position of authority and proposed they meet for lunch to clean the air. So, I'm not going to go any further on that. But I am, I am curious. What is the, how big is too big of a gap? I don't think there's a specific answer. But I just want to know for you personally, what would you say is just too much? I don't think I could do, I definitely could not do 10 years. So if a woman was 31, or if I were, 31 and the girl were 21, I don't think I could do that. And I think I say that, I think I say that for this reason. I've always wanted to get married young. That's just something, like, since kindergarten, I've always wanted to do. So and let me say this, I always preferred that my future wife would be, maybe like 2-3 years younger than me. So, off my estimates, my wife, wherever she is like, 18, 19, or 20. I don't know if I could do the same age. I think I could, but I don't know. But I think it's interesting. I think it's really interesting. I did some research on this. And this is from theconversation.com. And it says romantic couples have a large age gap. With a large age gap, often raise eyebrows. Studies have found partners with more than a 10-year gap in age experience social disapproval. But when it comes to our own relationships, both men and women prefer someone in their own age, but are open to someone 10 to 15 years their junior or senior. While there is variation across cultures in the size of the difference in age gap, all cultures demonstrate the age gap couple phenomenon. In some non-Western countries, the average age gap is much larger than in Western countries. For example, in some African countries, about 30% of unions reflect a large age gap. Okay, now that's kind of... Now let me put that in some context. Okay, a lot of that is, arranged marriages. So just keep that in mind. Alright, so does age matter, and do couples with large age gaps experience poorer or better relationship outcomes compared to couples of similar ages? Across Western countries, about 8% of all married heterosexual couples can be classified as having a large age gap, which is 10 years or more. These generally involve older men partnered with younger women. About 1% of age gap couples involve an older woman partnered with a younger man. And you guys hear me say it all the time. It's been shown throughout history. Men, when they are looking at women, they go by their youth, their beauty, and their fertility. So that's why women, men marrying older women, or women who's older than them, it's just really rare. It's rare. I think that this is interesting. I will say this. I do have a problem with the double standard. Because I've noticed, men, it's okay for men to date. It's okay for men to date women who are much younger. It's socially acceptable for that. But it's not socially acceptable for an older woman to date a much younger man. Like, they have a harder time. And to me, I look at it this way. You guys know I don't like double standards. And to me, it's like, well, if guys can do it, then women should be able to be older and date that much younger. Date/marry that much younger. I personally have no problem with it. That's just me. I've never been that person who, I said this earlier, I've never been this person who would be like, I don't know, like 45 or 50 and get with a really young girl who's like fresh out of high school or fresh out of college. That's too big of a gap. And it's like, okay, I'm not trying to date/marry my daughter. That's how I would see it. And to me, what's important in a romantic relationship, is, conversation and being able to relate with what each other is saying. Like, I look at it this way: if I'm 50 and I'm dating, say, a 21-year-old, I can talk about stuff that she's lived through. She can't talk about a bunch of stuff that I've lived through. I'd be 29 years older than her. And in the back of my mind, I would look at it as, okay, you're only with me for my money. That's how I would see it. Now, this woman who's 22, does part of me believe she's in it for the money? I do. I'm going to shoot straight here. You may not like what I have to say, but I'm going to do it. I'm going to say this. She's pretty. She really is. Nice face, nice lips, great hair, great smile. But she has a prosthetic leg. She has, a hand that's deformed. That would be seen by most people, that'd be seen as unattractive. And if you really want to say otherwise, you are lying to yourself and you're just trying to portray yourself to be a better person than you really are. I kind of think she's in it for the money, because this girl, her options are limited. Because see, here's the thing. It's like this. If she just put pictures of her face on her Tinder profile, this is the girl that I would, now let me say this. I'm not on Tinder. I'm not on any online dating things right now. I will say this. If I'm not with someone by 22, I will get into online dating. I will say that. But I'm going to say this. If I was on Tinder and I saw this girl and there were only pictures of her face, I would swipe right. I would. I'd be like, okay, this is a girl, like, okay, let's see if anything happens here. But let's say she would have swiped right on me as well. We go and we meet up. We go grab, I don't really do coffee, but we go grab like breakfast one day. I meet her. It wouldn't take long for me to realize that her hand is deformed. And it wouldn't take long for me to realize that she has a prosthetic leg. Would that influence my choice of being with her or asking for a second date? It would. I'm going to be honest, it would. I'm not going to be one of those people who's going to lie and say, "Oh, that wouldn't matter to me." No, it would. It would matter to me. Do I think she's in it for the money? I will say this. Those who date that much older, let me say this, both men and women, I believe money is number one. That's just what I believe. As you get older, you're going to attain more money. And the older people, the older partners, they know that. And so they get in it primarily for the sex. This man is old enough to be her dad. And I look at it this way, I couldn't do such a big gap. I couldn't. And I believe I'm right about that. Cause see, here's the thing. I just talked about that poll where people said that they could do, someone that's 10 to 15 years their junior or senior. See, that's just on paper. But when it comes to going out with this person in public, can you stand being looked at? It's entirely different. To say, oh yeah, I could do, if I say, okay, I'm 21, I could easily be with a woman who's 36. No, I couldn't. I couldn't. That's just not me. I could, here's why I know that poll wouldn't apply to me, okay? If I was with a woman 15 years older, she'd be 36. I personally want children. Okay? It's going to be hard for her to have children at that age. Because it's not like I would get married right at 21. I would like to see myself getting married 24, 25, 26 within those years. That's when I see myself getting married. Okay, so that's 3 more years. She'd be 39, 40, 41 when we got married. Kids probably aren't happening. And if they do happen, I can't remember which diseases it is when you have a gap that big between a younger man and an older woman. But the child will be sickly. For me, I look at it this way. For the sake of the kid, that would just be another reason I couldn't do that much older or younger. Like for me, I look at it this way. If I did someone 15 years younger than me, okay, I'm 21. The girl would be 6 right now. She'd be 6. Okay, then I would hit age 36 and she would be, she'd be 21. I couldn't do that. Because to me, I look at it this way. I would say, listen, cause me being 36, I'd be like, okay, I've lived pretty much a third of my life. A little bit more than a third of my life. I would want someone who'd be ready to get married within the year. And a woman who's 21, that's just extremely hard to find. And that's a lot of pressure on her. And that's not something that I would do. Cause I would just be honest. I'd be like, look, okay. Like, when you get out of college, like, while you're in college, like, we're going to get married. I couldn't put that kind of pressure on someone. I don't think that would be fair. And I wouldn't be able to really relate with someone like that who's 15 years younger than me that I'm going to spend the rest of my life with. My dad and my mom are almost 15 years apart. I look at them and I say, oh, I've learned quite a bit from their marriage. I've learned I've learned things to do in marriage. I've learned things not to do. I've learned things to look for. I look for things to avoid in a partner. But one thing I remember I was just looking at them one day and I said, could I be with someone that much younger, that much older? And I said, no, I couldn't. I really believe the best that I could do is like 5 to 7 years. Now, I may be wrong, but that's just me. We have to be able to relate. I need to be able to converse with you very easily on a bunch of other topics. History, our faith in being, Christians, children, sports, things like that, things that we've lived through together, things that we've seen. This man is old enough to be her dad. And I'm going to be honest, gun to my head, I would say she's in it for the money. He's not a bad looking guy at all. He's not. But she knows her options are limited. And this is a guy who, he was a CFO. I'm going to assume this is a pretty good company that he worked for. And he probably had a good amount of money. And he said, okay, well, here's a good looking girl. Yeah, she has one leg and yeah, she has one decent hand, but hey, she's very pretty. And I'm not saying she's pretty, to make this person feel good. I'm looking at this girl right now. There's a picture of her right here. She's pretty. She really is. But I would have to say that she's in it mostly for the money and he is mostly in it for the sex. And that's how I view couples with that big of an age gap. 36 years. You just wouldn't be able to convince me otherwise. I don't know how you can fall in love with someone that is that much older than you or that much younger than you. I just can't see it. With my understanding of love and how I want to relate to someone, there's no way I'm gonna, be with someone that could be my mother. No, thank you. Or it could be my daughter. No, thank you. All right. So that's that. All right. So there is a transgender actress who is fundraising for life-changing jaw surgery after, she admits her jaw is holding her back. So this guy, there's a picture on the left and the right. The picture on the left is this is clearly it's a dude. It's a dude. You look at this dude, and he might be like 8, 9, or 10 in this picture. And then the picture on the right is it's the same guy who dyed his hair strawberry blonde, I would say, and wants to be a woman, grew out his hair, but this is a pretty serious jaw and chin. Like, this guy has a cleft chin, and he's got a very set jawline. So here's the article. A transgender actress is fundraising for feminization jaw surgery after believing her jaw is holding her back from getting lead roles. Amelia Hindle, 23, who has gender dysphoria, says she needs 15,000 pounds for surgery to make her jawline more feminine. And I think that'd be something like maybe like $16,000 or $17,000, something like that. That's just off the top of my head, the exchange rate. The procedure is not covered by the NHS. I understand for a lot of trans people, the genital surgery for them is most important. But people see my face every day. Not so many people see what's in my pants. The actress who works as a ghoul in Blackpool Tower Dungeon admitted. I'm uncomfortable having male genitalia, but I'm far more uncomfortable with my stronger nose and masculine jawline. Okay, now let me say this. So, here's, in Thailand, I don't know if you guys have heard of this, but there are guys who are very convincing and they look like women. They look like women and it can be very fooling. And what they'll do is they will try to make some money by having, they'll try to be escorts to tourists who really don't know better. So what they do, they come out at night and they wear their ladies' clothing. And by the way, I'm not making this up. You can Google this stuff, YouTube this stuff, and you can see for yourself that this is what I'm talking about is real. And what they do is they will hide their hands, like they'll keep them in their pockets, they'll put them behind their back, they'll laugh a lot and just, kind of keep a good amount of distance. So that way, you can't really get a good look at them. Because once you get that good look at them, it's like, that's a dude. And once you see the hands, oh, it's over. So this guy also has masculine hands. And one thing that concerns me is the hands are the telltale sign. The hands are pretty much surefire where you can know, okay, that's a guy or girl. When modern medicine gets to the point where they can make, which I don't think will really be able to happen, but if they are ever able to come to a point where a man can make his hands look feminine, we're in trouble. Alright? Hindle didn't come out until 2017, so her earlier theater roles were male parts. She's been on the NHS waiting list to undergo lower surgery for 3 years, but it's not expected to take place for another 1 to 2 years. Sad. Just sad. In 2017, she was diagnosed with gender dysphoria, when a person experiences discomfort or distress because there is a mismatch between their biological sex and gender identity. She can trace back her struggle back to being 12 years old when she started to having her first inclinations that she was born in the wrong body. It has slowed me down, and I feel if I wasn't trans, I'd have gotten into drama school. I'm also often typecasted in transgender roles. Yes, because you're a See, here's the thing. They want everything and everyone else around them to change. They say, okay, I'm a transgender now. So it's like, okay, we'll give you roles, but you're going to be the transgender role. No, I want to be a woman. You are not a woman and you're not convincing. I'm gonna say this. Even she's gonna get the jaw surgery. She still wouldn't really fool people. Cause see, here's the thing. Sometimes you just gotta look at someone and you just look at them for like a good, maybe 15 seconds. And just kind of look at them from a few different angles, and you will see that they are not what they say they are. And see, here's the thing. Once it becomes very clear, if medicine gets to the point where you can and here's why, let me say this. Here's why I don't think they'll be able to really do everything to make you look totally convincing. Because the body structure of men and women is different. Our skeletal structures are different. So you can feel a man's hand. You can tell it's a man. He can try to smooth out his hands, but he will still have that same bone structure. Where it's going to be like, okay, you have man hands. I don't know if you guys have ever seen that Seinfeld episode where he's dating this attractive woman, and the problem is that she has man hands, and he just can't really get attracted to her because, she like touches his face, and it's like a man touching his face, and it's pretty funny. My face is back to the article. My face is my tool, and if it passed more as typically feminine, then I could fly under the radar and land female roles. No, you couldn't. I think it's hard. I think this is hard because, first of all, my question to transgenders is, okay, how honest, when you date, are you honest? Because I hear stories about people who, I hear stories and I read stories about people who are transgender, and they admit that they're transgender, and they get friend zoned, which is really another way of saying they get ghosted and no one wants to be your friend. So my question to you is, you see these same stories. Do you come to a point where you say, okay, I'm just not going to tell anyone? Because I get it, being on the dating scene, trying to get on the dating scene, and being single for a long time, that's frustrating. So I look at it this way. I feel, and I believe, and I don't have data to back up what I'm saying right here, but this is just off the top of my head, with just understanding humans, that trans people would just eventually lie after getting declined so many times. I remember there was this guy, it was a woman who wanted to become a man. And so she would go on these dates with these women, and, she'd admit, I'm transgender. And the person's demeanor would change, and they would, they'd say, well, maybe it's better that we're just friends. And so that happened. And so my question is, okay, at some point you would just be angry about that. And then you would just be like, you know what? I'm just not going to say anything. I'm just going to keep this to myself. It's just, and that, it's important. You got to make sure, when you're dating someone, see, here's the thing. This used to not really be a problem. This used to not be a problem. But now it's like, if you date someone, if you go to their place, see how many pictures they have, back then. How many old pictures do they have, Can you see them when they were like, a baby, 2 years old, 3 years old, 4 years old, 5 years old? Because if they just have pictures of them in like the past year, 2 years, I would want to ask, I'd be like, oh, where are your family pictures where, you were a kid? I personally would just be suspicious. That's just me. But that's just interesting to me. This is very interesting to me. I don't know I don't know. It's sad. It's sad. I feel bad for this individual. Praying for him, because this is the person who's confused. This person is a man, but they don't feel comfortable as a man. They feel that they're a woman. It's sad. It's sad, and it's really an abomination. Because you're trying to change what God created. You are trying to... God made you a certain way. And he's going to have his genitalia mutilated. and he thinks he's going to feel better. The data shows that pre and post-op transgenders, they have a 40% suicide rate before the operation and after the operation. The operation doesn't help. In fact, it often makes things worse because they realize they still have the same feelings, but they've already done too much damage to their body. And then they start thinking, well, that was pretty stupid. What have I done? And it's sad. It really is sad. And man, just yeah. Okay. Now I'll say that story because that's kind of the funny story. Okay, so I don't drink. I've never had alcohol. I've never desired it. The main reason is, I've never wanted to drink something that would make me feel looser. I've never wanted to drink something that would make me not be able to think very clearly. Your decision making when you drink, even just one drink, your decision making skills aren't the same. It affects your prefrontal cortex, which is where you make your decisions. Communication, you're not really as effective. You may become better at flirting and, hitting on girls or guys, but it's like, that's just not a state that I want to be in. But I saw this article yesterday from Fox News, and it's about how women in Florida can now order, quote, owl shot to let bartender know that they're in danger. Okay. This is, let me read it. Okay. Bars in Florida are taking steps to help women get away from dangerous situations. Members of a student government group came up with this clever idea for women to secretly signal to bartenders or wait staff that they need assistance. All they have to do is order a specific type of shot and help will be on the way. Students at Florida Atlantic University worked with local bars to create a unified system for bar patrons to discreetly ask for help. Alejandra Rodriguez, a member of the student government group, says she went door to door asking local establishments if they would join the initiative. We haven't had any sort of backlash with it, she told the outlet. It's been pretty straightforward. Bars think it's a great idea and we're really happy they want to partner up with us on this. The initiative has bars putting posters up in the women's room explaining what to order at the bar if they need help. Owl shot neat means they need an escort to their car, Rodriguez said. If they order owl shot on the rocks, it means they need a ride called for them, however the bar chooses to do so. And owl shot with lime means the students in a potentially dangerous situation would like the police to be called. The FAU group hopes to keep expanding the program. Student safety is a priority for us, Rodriguez said. We wanted to enhance student safety and we thought this was a quick and easy way to make sure that students have resources to feel safe wherever they are. No, I'm going to say this. This idea, it's not bad. It really isn't. It is important that when people go out, they feel safe. You gotta know, you gotta get the license plate. You gotta know who these people are. Because, it's a first date and you're just meeting someone. And the thing is that they are intoxicated. When people don't go to bars and not drink. That's just weird. Yeah, you don't want to be weird. So most people, when they go to bars, they're going to be intoxicated. Okay? So here's my thing. let's say I'm a dude. Let's say I'm a dude, okay? I see this girl at the bar and I think she's kind of cute and I want to be able to go talk to her. Let's say I go over there and I sit next to her and let's say I ordered us drinks, okay? She would, okay. People, here's my thing. They may misread the situation and just say, okay, let's say she says, let's say the bartender asks, cause here's what I'm saying, okay? An owl shot, let's say she orders an owl shot with lime, okay? Now that's something that I've never heard of before. I ask her, oh, what is that? What is she gonna say? Because with this, there is no, she's not actually, see, here's the problem I find. And maybe there's just not enough information in this one article. But they are not actually receiving a drink. So eventually, she's not gonna get a drink and I'm gonna be like, well, where's your drink? I feel like this is in the news. Florida Atlantic University is in the news. So here's what happens. There are guy students who see this article and they say, hey guys, look at this. If we go to a bar and they order this, this is what it means. Now, I will say this. There are jerks out there. There are creeps. There are bad dudes out there. But I'm looking at this and it's like, okay, with this published article, it's kind of null and void. I think in a way, here's what I believe. Early on, this is gonna work, but then something's gonna backfire. Someone's gonna totally misread a situation, and someone's gonna order an owl shot with lime, okay? There's gonna be conversation going, and next thing you know, the police come in. They come over to the girl that I'm talking to. They look at me and say, you know, first of all, how are they going to handle the situation? Are they going to say, is everything okay here? Because here's the thing. Once police are involved, it affects things because it's going to be like, oh, why are the police here? That's pretty unusual for police to just walk into a bar. And they would come right to us. Because what it's saying, because it's not like they would just kind of just wait and just sit around and just watch us. Here's the thing. Here's what I'm saying. You're calling the police. There's emergency and then there's non-emergency. When it's an emergency, they're supposed to get there right away. When it's a non-emergency, they get there whenever they get there. They may not even come. So let's say they come over and say, is everything okay here? I'd be like, yeah. It puts the girl in an uncomfortable situation. everyone just gets into an uncomfortable situation. I don't think this is going to work in the long run. That's just how I look at it. Owl shot neat means they need an escort to their car. Owl shot on the rocks, they need a ride called for them. Owl shot with lime means the student is in a potentially dangerous situation and would like the police to be called. Danger is relative. I don't know. I don't know. I couldn't. If I were on a member of the student government group, this group that made this, I would be asking these questions. Because I would say, okay, how long before, because it's like this. They're trying to protect women from men. Because this isn't a thing. This is mostly for women, okay? Eventually the guys are gonna catch on. Okay, they're not stupid. Because they're gonna see, here's the thing. They may be hearing that around the bar. Owl shot. Owl shot is that's not a thing. So eventually it's gonna be like, okay, so that's not really a drink. It must mean something else. So what I would do as a guy, I hear the girl order owl shot blank. Fill in the blank. I'm gonna watch what the bartender does. After a little while. I mean, this just wouldn't work. You're saying, I mean, even if you just post this in the bathroom, the women's bathroom, there's a news article on this from Fox News. And then there were ladies with guy friends, and they just go to the bar just for fun, and the girl could easily say, guys, there's a thing in the bathroom where it says this means this, this means this, this means this. Oh, okay, so that's what that means. So I think Alejandro Rodriguez and company, I think their head is in the right place. I really think there is. I think it's important that, people are safe when they go out to drink. I personally don't drink. People shouldn't do it. But if you are going to do it, you should be safe. And I think I don't know. I just, with this, they're gonna have to rethink it. There's gonna have to be a thing, a system that is discreet, that guys, you're gonna have to kind of keep changing the system. Cause eventually dudes are gonna catch on. Cause most people go to drink at the same place. And eventually they're just gonna figure it out. No one is that stupid. Because I would eventually figure out that it's like this. I've never been into a bar. I've never been at a bar. Okay. I go in. I see a girl at the bar. Okay. She orders an owl shot with whatever. I personally don't drink alcohol. Okay. See, I didn't read this article. My question to her would be, what is that? Like what's an owl shot? Will she freeze up and say, it's a, I don't know. I don't know. I just don't think that this is really going to be effective for the long run. This may be effective, for 2 weeks tops, but you're gonna need something new. That's just the way I see it. I can't see this working for a long period of time. Maybe I can find what I would like to do. I'm not promising this at all, but Alejandra Rodriguez, I would want to talk to her about this system because I'm curious. I just don't see how that would really work out for a long period of time. I think it could work short term, but I think you're just going to have to keep on changing the code. Okay, so this last thing, I think it's kind of funny. I'm really going to spend probably less than 60 seconds on it. There was a driver who was pulled over because his expired license plate tags expired in 1997. His excuse was that he's been busy. This guy's been busy for 23 years, and he's just now getting to it. I thought it was pretty hilarious. Because in Louisiana they need they need 2 years. You have to do it every 2 years. The officer asked the man why, and the driver said, "Sorry, officer, I've been busy lately and totally forgot to renew my vehicle registration. I'll take care of it as soon as I get home." I don't know. I just find that kind of funny. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and I will, you will hear from me on tomorrow.